Well, our guest today is a good friend of mine who's made his mark in the Minneapolis dining scene. People know him around the country. He's the executive chef for the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Minnesota Lynx, and he's bringing his talents to Chicago. Hello, Chicago. Give it up for my good friend, Chef David Fhima. Hi, buddy.
Good morning.
Should we show the audience our butt now or in segment 2? Which one?
I am all open for any time you want.
Okay, let's start with this. Let's start with the Timberwolves. Mr. Fhima here has been a big supporter of the Timberwolves even when they weren't having a season like they just did. I thought of you continuously. What was that like for you? You know the team well, to see them on the ride that they just went through.
It was amazing. I mean, it's just, we've been working with the Timberwolves in changing the food story and showcasing our local food scene and how amazing it was. And then to see all of that sort of like come to fruition and the success of the team, it's very hard to describe the energy in that arena as the team was winning.
It's amazing.
I think really honestly next year is going to be unbelievable. I mean, they've already sold out many season tickets and stuff like that. So
let me piggyback off that and give you a compliment and ask you to fill in the audience, because you guys may not know it. But if you think about when you were a kid, or even within the last, 5 years, you go to an arena. No matter where you're watching us from, in Seattle, Chicago, you go to an arena, and what do you get? Hot dogs. Back in the day, you could only get a hot dog, some nasty peanuts, and then this man right here transform our expectations of what stadiums and arenas food should have. You did it here locally at Target Center. What was the motivation for doing that?
Well, honestly, the CEO, Ethan Casson, Ryan Tanke, Jake Vernon, they all were in changing what people expected. And it was not about expecting a filet mignon. It's about if you came in to the arena and had a hot dog, that the bun was not going to be stale. It was going to be amazing. The hot dog was of great quality. And I mean, it's kind of a funny anecdote. We did a bit on a hot dog. I mean, I never thought that as a chef, one day my claim to fame will be hot dogs. We did a bit on it, and people were, I was getting so many questions. How do you eat a hot dog? No ketchup, no mustard. If you have a good hot dog and a good bun, that's all you need.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that was, so surrounded by people who have a vision, who want to do things better. As you know, we don't live in a bubble. We have to have a community that supports our vision, and they let me be. And we created what we think, and the NBA has recognized us as one of the best hospitality experience in sports.
It's the best. When you come visit us. Now, that leads me, we're eventually going to look at food, but that leads me to some big news. You've been in the headlines, not just here locally, but for our friends watching in Chicago. Tell the folks what you're doing in Chicago.
Well, I'm so proud that, without this Timberwolves experience, Chicago wouldn't happen, correct? So it all starts with the Timberwolves. We are overseeing the food and beverage at Soldier Field.
Big deal.
Pretty much top to bottom. We are working at Hallas Hall on the players program. I mean, it's just an amazing, amazing year coming up for us. Let me be clear. Timberwolves are still the team in Minnesota. Okay? But Chicago is going to be the team in Chicago. And Kevin Warren, who used to be with the Vikings, and he went to the Big Ten, and who is a good friend, and reached out, and we put that together. And he's hired some of the best people. I mean, what the Bears are going to be next year in terms of hospitality is going to really drive how the NFL is going to go from now on.
And again, not that Target Center or Target Field, U.S. Bank, but Chicago, you think of the field that you're working, that is a that is a monument to sports right there. That field in Chicago that's legendary.
I walked in there, and I grew up on football, but soccer.
Yeah.
And walking into this truly a mecca of where football was created.
Yeah.
And going to Hallas Hall, I mean, it gives you goosebumps. You go, oh my gosh. I mean, you can see the history. You can feel, and you can only, if you close your eyes, the noise in the 50s. And I moved to this country when the Chicago Bears had Mike Ditka, Refrigerator Perry, and all of those. And I'm going, oh my.
86 Super Bowl.
And so I was in my early 20s, and I'm going, are you kidding? I mean, I barely had $50 in my pocket. I was knocking on doors trying to find a job. And today, but that's how amazing this country is.
It's fantastic. We're going to actually talk some food when we come back. Back in a moment, everybody. Woo! Welcome back. The one and only David Fhima. I always say to you, when you come visit us in the Twin Cities, wherever you're watching us from, Iowa, Orlando, Chicago, Seattle, when you visit us, Chef David Fhima has several great restaurants. I'm biased to one because I live across the street from it. And that's Maison Margot. Thank you. Kendall and I have been there many times. Anyway, let's talk about some stuff. What do we have here in front of me?
Well, I mean, you can't say French and not say seafood tower. So these are lobster, Dungeness crab legs, prawns, scallops, oysters, mussels, all poached in little vinegar, little peppercorn, and just so they are at the right temperatures, so they are perfect. I mean, I want you to just for a minute picture yourself sitting down, sharing a seafood tire, having a glass of white wine. You close your eyes and you see the ocean in the south of France. So that's really what the essence of this.
Why do you have to do that to us, David? I mean, we're sitting in a studio in suburban Minneapolis. Right, audience, good news. We're all going to France after the show.
Yeah.
Let me grab Fox's credit card and I'll be right back. No. Oh, that's amazing. Oh, do you prefer East Coast? Can I ask you, East Coast or West Coast oysters?
I'm an East Coast oyster.
Me too!
Yeah, I am.
Me too!
I am.
I am too.
I mean, they have more flavor. They are meatier. They're a little smaller, but, size doesn't matter.
What do we have here, buddy? I caught that, David. What do we have here?
So Mother Dough is our bakery.
Oh.
And shout out to our chef, Lauren Christensen, who put all of these together today. I'm here talking about it, but she's the one who did the work.
Thank you.
Yeah. And Tommy, our pastry chef at Mother Dough, did our pastries, and we change pastries all the time. And so summer pastries, winter pastries are very different. So summer pastries are a little bit lighter, fruitier, and a little bit more in terms of fragrance as opposed to cream and butters.
Yeah.
So right here we have a fruit tart, a sugar crust, crème pâtissière, fresh berries, local fresh berries, a coulis, a raspberry coulis. And right here we have a one-layer Napoleon. So this is a pastry crust filled with chocolate mousse. And I'm going to leave these here because you got to eat them.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to leave it all here. But so anyway, I just thought if you're going to eat seafood, which is lighter, you got to have.
You can have this.
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, we have a couple minutes.
Yeah.
Will you please, like condensed version? I just love a good story. Like our first segment. Will you explain why the bakery is called Mother's Dough? Well, this is so great, guys.
Thank you. Well, Mother Dough I moved to the U.S. in the 80s. My first, and I brought with me a tiny little jar, and that jar had my mother's starter that she got from her mother. It's 130 years old. And so at the immigration, that was before 9/11, where you could bring something that's bubbling, it's about to explode, and nobody asks questions. Today, you cannot get a glass of water.
Yeah.
So that is my mother's starter that we make all our breads with, including this bread right here. And so it's my mother's dough. And so all our bread is there.
I love that.
Yeah.
130 years old.
130 years old, yes.
Now, unfortunately, we ran out of time for David and I to show you our butts.
I think we have time.
Give it up for David Fhima, everybody. Follow him on social media. If you're visiting, try Fhima's in downtown, Maison Margot and Mother Dough. We'll be right back. Back in a moment, everybody.
I love you. I love you. Thank you so much.
Um,